and that was many years ago. So a lot of times I have to be reminded of that. Like when I go into the
Yeah.
kitchen and I see dirty dishes left from the kids, you know what I'm saying? Like who the, you know, or the empty roll of toilet paper. I have to go, you know what? Come on now. You've experienced oneness with the universe. Does this really matter in the scheme of things?
Welcome to Out of the Box with Christine, the podcast for conscious entrepreneurs. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, Truth Seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blosdale.
Welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I am your host, Christine Blosdale. I am a media success coach, and I help people of all stripes, of all ages. I sound like a carnival barker. I help people from all different backgrounds to get the word out on their business through videos, TikToks, podcasts, you name it. And my beautiful privilege today is to have a guest on to talk about a subject matter that I can never tire of, because I believe so wholeheartedly that we are way more than what we think we are. And we're way more capable of doing things and really living our passions in life. And so this is something that I'm personally passionate about. My guest today is Karen Chong of Spherical Luminosity. She's going to tell you about that in just a second. But her claim to fame, because I always ask my guests before they come on, if you have a particular job title or claim to fame, and hers is to be a catalyst for a rise in consciousness. I love this. She's also a writer. She is an unwavering champion for humanity. Thank God somebody is. And she's also a podcast host of the show called Mastering Your World Through Frequencies. So, wow, Karen, you're a little slacker. You're not doing much in your life, are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be fun. I've been laughing for at least the past couple of minutes straight, so that's good.
Well, my job is done here then.
Yeah.
So I love in your time. I mean, I love the whole thing about being an unwavering champion for humanity, because we really need that right now, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going through a little bit. The timing of this, of your appearance on the show is just perfect, because, and not to tie it into any time, but my goodness, there's a lot of things going on in the world.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You name it. Every day I wake up, every day I check the socials to go, are we still here? Are we still here? So Karen, so you're calling into this line of work. I mean, when you were a little kid, did you always know that something was maybe missing and you needed to fill those shoes with your presence and your energy?
Yeah, no, not at all. I was a really normal kid. And if you told me even like 6 years ago that I'd be doing this, I would have said you were nuts. Because, at the time I was living in San Francisco with my partner and husband, Chris, and we had a really successful real estate practice. We were helping people buy and sell their homes. And, we had a 90% referral rate. We were entrepreneurs. Our clients loved us. Like we were, from the outside, it looked amazing. And, my spiritual journey had started 25 plus years before that. And so I was implementing all these different modalities, right? I was like using all these energetic modalities, personal development stuff. And yet, despite having, lots of money in the bank and all this success and, apparently what looks like amazingness, for me internally, I felt really a lot of scarcity. So any of you guys out there who are entrepreneurs, you know what it's like, right? You don't know exactly when you're going to get paid, and you don't know exactly how much necessarily, and it can be really scary. And so even though we had a lot, and my husband would be like, just look at the bank account, we're fine. I literally every night would be like spreadsheet how much money we had left until we had to sell our house and move in with my parents.
When are we eating cup of noodles?
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm like, yeah, exactly. When do like green veggies come off the grocery list, And so that is when I just asked the question, like, what am I missing here? Like, I should be happy, but I'm not, right? Like it looks like glory, but it doesn't feel like it internally. And also I was noticing at the time that some of our peers who were, didn't care as much about their clients, didn't do as much for them, didn't seem to be putting in the hours. They were having more success in terms of the sales that they were making. And I was like, well, what am I missing? Another question of like, what am I missing? And so anyway, I happened to go away on a trip to France and came back, and I was in my acupuncturist's office. These things are kind of random. And she said to me as I was getting off the table, have you ever heard of frequency work? And it was one of those moments. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced this, but it's kind of like the words like land, and I just knew, I was like, I don't, but I need to. I don't know what the hell you're saying. I don't know what those words mean. I don't know anything. But whatever that is that you just said, I need to figure out what that is. And so I started doing frequency work because I just wanted to clear my distortion patterns so I wouldn't be freaking out all the time about money. I was just like, can we just have that? Because that would be amazing.
Right.
And it was strange because when you start to clear distortion patterns, the level of the quantum, we can talk about that more in a little bit, your reality changes and you think of it as your normal, actually. So my husband actually said to me one day, he's like, it had been a couple of months. He's like, have you noticed that you're not spread cheating anymore? I'm like, no, actually I hadn't, but hallelujah, I have. You know what I mean? It was kind of like that kind of change. So it was so deep and so profound and yet so normal at the same time. And my reality was shifting so fast that I was kind of almost didn't notice. I mean, it sounds so stupid, but like I honestly was just like, oh, this is kind of normal and kind of like radically different at the same time.
Yeah.
And then 2 years after, like just because I'm kind of an intense individual, I was just like, let's see what can happen. Let's just clear more of this crap. And I went off to another retreat, and in a 9-hour meditation that I not planned to have, I pierced what I call the veil of forgetting, merged into the oneness, lost all sense of myself. So it's equivalent to like an ego death. And really perceived myself as part of there was no me, honestly. It was just one. And Christine, I was sitting in this tiny little studio in the middle of Sedona, Arizona, on the couch. And if you looked in the window, you would have thought this woman is totally like insane, because I was in meditation. And when I was in that resonance of the oneness, I started to laugh because I couldn't believe that I'd forgotten that I was part of the one. And I did that for like minutes, and then I started to cry because I couldn't believe that I'd forgotten that I was part of the one. It's like forgetting that you can breathe,
Yeah.
And I perceived everything as frequencies. And then I had this unbelievably clear awareness that I could alter things at the frequency or the quantum level. And then when I came back, and I didn't plan, I mean, it wasn't like when I woke up in the morning, I was like, yeah, let's go into a 9-hour meditation, check, you know what I mean? That's not what happened. It just happened. And when I came out of it, I couldn't believe, first of all, because it was nighttime. Like when I started, it was morning, and I was like, whoa, what happened to all the light? And then I looked at the clock and I realized it'd been 9 hours. But after that, I could perceive everything as frequencies. I was like, whoa, this is weirdly a little bit like the Matrix. And I could see everything as the illusion, but not as something that punishes us, as something that's really here for us to really truly do what I feel is what we're here for in this life, which is to awaken to the true possibility of who we are. And who we are is limitless and truly the co-creator of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I realize for some people, that's like, okay, that's a nice like sort of bumper sticker idea. But truly, if you think about it, if you actually started to recognize yourself as this infinite, or an aspect of you anyway, as infinite indestructible consciousness, as limitless, do you think you would have fear? You wouldn't. It would completely not exist for you, or it would change radically in any case. And your experience of scarcity, would it be there? No, because you're limitless and you can create infinitely, you see? So everything about our human existence, of the limited, of the mundane, and there's so many of us now who are distracted because we're so freaking bored and we don't know what else to do. But when you tap into that part of yourself, everything becomes brilliant in a way, like sacred, because there's like 5 million cacao ceremonies and whatever ceremonies and whatnot, and that's fine. But like everything is sacred. Everything is an expression of the divine, and we've forgotten that, I think. So to answer your question that you asked like 5 million years ago.
No, we were all on
it.
the journey. We were all on the journey with you. Well, and that experience, that connectedness to the one, when I say the one, to everything, right?
Yeah.
Very few people get to experience that. And I think because we've been so trained like a dog to believe that we are all by ourselves. We're disconnected from, religion plays a big part of it. You're born in sin. Some people believe that we're disconnected from God, love, the universe, all of those things. And I know myself personally, I had that experience of being connected to everything. And it was the most beautiful experience. And it was during a near-death experience, right?
Yeah.
And so in that near-death experience, Christine, myself, whatever, the I was pretty much like obliterated. It didn't matter. But I was one with everything. I mean, we're talking the ocean, rocks, trees, everything. And it was the most beautiful feeling that I've ever had. And it took away so much fear. There's no fear of death after that point. There's no fear of, and that was many years ago. So a lot of times I have to be reminded of that. Like when I go into the kitchen and I see dirty dishes left from the kids, you know what I'm saying? Like who the, or the empty roll of toilet paper. I have to go, you know what? Come on now. You've experienced oneness with the universe. Does this really matter in the scheme of things? But we get so, as humans, we kind of, we get focused on the negativity. And like you were talking about, and you mentioned scarcity. Now, I know you speak to great depth on scarcity. And I was listening to one of your podcast episodes where you were discussing the difference between scarcity and absolute scarcity.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So absolute scarcity is this really odd thing that we have as humans because we fell through what I call the veil of forgetting. So I'm just going to back up, okay, to give context, all right? So I'm going to totally answer your question. But in order to come into embodiment, you actually have to drop in resonance because you were consciousness before, without form. And then in order to have a physical experience, you have to actually drop in vibration, right? Because consciousness vibrates higher, of course, than density or form, yeah? So when you drop into having form, you drop through what I call the veil of forgetting, which is when you have two forgettings that are critical and kind of terrible and amazing at the same time. One is that you forget that you are intrinsically part of the one and that you're consciousness. So like you said, you believe that you are separate, that you are finite, and that you are disconnected. And from that, it distorts further into I'm not enough of the divine because it's not me, right? I am not the divine. The divine is out there.
It's outside of myself, right?
Yeah, it's outside of me, out there somewhere. And here I am, inadequate, right? And that is really perpetuated through a lot of, religions, unfortunately. So there's that. And the second thing that you agree to is linear time. And linear time is really a human's construct of the eternal now. So the eternal now, and a lot of people talk about this, right? Like Joe Dispenza and like Eckhart Tolle, they talk about the eternal now, right? The ever-present expanding eternal now, which is what everything on the spirit or quantum level exists at. So everything is in the now. Everything is happening all at once, just like that movie with Michelle Yeoh in it, right? So everything is happening all at once. But our minds, really, do you think our minds can really process everything all at once? No. Like, it's just like, we can't even barely process the concept of a trillion, much less infinite. So linear time is a way for your mind to shrink or have a compressed version of the eternal now that your mind can process. Just like, when, for example, you're a radio producer. So if you have music that's live, right? Or even then recorded on CD, there's a tremendous amount of sound that's recorded. But then we have to compress the amount of information to get it into an MP3 so we can send it over our devices, right?
Correct.
It's the same thing with time. We do that so we understand past, present, future, and we can talk about it. But the thing is, that feeling, that drop through the veil of forgetting is what creates what I call absolute scarcity that you're talking about. That there's always something outside of us that we need to complete ourselves. We are never whole and complete within ourselves because we dropped through that veil and we forgot, oh my God, I'm part of that one. Just like you had that experience in your near death and I had that experience in my meditation. It's the same thing. It's the same truth, right? And the thing is, when you are in absolute scarcity, you're going to think things like, if I only lost these 8 pounds, I'd be happy, right? Like if I had the car, I had the partner, I had the job title, I had the whatever, then I'd be happy. Now, are you happy when you get it? Of course you are, right? But it doesn't last very long,
No,
right? Then
right.
you're on chasing like the next thing, right? I mean, you're like, sweet, I got the car. Oh, now the kids have just been in it. You know what I mean? So like, how long is that going to last for, the new car smell? You know, so, or whatever it is. But my point is, we always chase what we think will make us happy, whatever it is, instead of recognizing that when you start to cultivate that what I call the big S self, you as infinite indestructible consciousness, where you know viscerally that you are infinite, that you are part of the oneness. When you know that, when you feel that, when you felt what you felt, Christine, it's like, oh, okay, that gives context to this moment that I'm having. And yes, I'm having this moment, whether it's happy or sad, but compared to the grandness of what that experience is, it gives it context. Does that make sense? It's going to pass
Absolutely.
one way or another. And you don't need that thing to make you whole, because you are whole. You are part of the one. You are an intrinsic and incredibly important part of the one. Without you, there is no one. You know what I mean? And I think we forget that because we think, oh, we got to be better. We got to, I don't know, achieve this thing, awaken in this way, do the whatever and whatney bop. And yes, I mean, do the thing, you know, like live your best life. But in order to be in that state of what I call the beloved, you don't have to deserve it. All you have to do is have your resonance be high enough so you can access it. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a very big difference
That's
between
key, isn't it?
deserving, yeah, and your vibrational level. Those two things are not the same.
And that's all about frequency and
Yeah.
what we're not taught, you know, like I wish we could teach this to, you know, little kids going through
Oh my
school,
God, yeah.
the importance of frequency, energy, you know, and not to get unicorn woo, but you know,
I think we're already there.
yeah, but it's a powerful thing. And if you go to, like, if you're at a party and somebody comes into the party and, you know, you've had those experiences where somebody comes in and, or you've encountered them, it's in the grocery line and there's an energy that's coming off of them that is just doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good to
Yeah.
be in their presence or within a certain range of, you know, distance. And that is an energy. And we don't know what that person is carrying, but we all carry energies from our childhood. I believe also from our past lives. You know,
Oh, for sure.
myself, I'm a non-binary, gender fluid. You know, you call me she, he, I don't care, whatever, they, whatever, great. But it's because I believe that I've had so many lifetimes, and in my different lifetimes, I've come here to experience life as a man, as a woman, as a rich person, as a poor person, as, you know, disabled, all these different things. And so
Yeah.
my homage to that is, in this lifetime, I feel very comfortable embracing both my feminine and my masculine, right? So that's my thing. Now there's sometimes in life we are hit with challenges and obstacles. And I think this is the key thing. And it's difficult for people because when you're experiencing it, it's really difficult to feel, to go outside of that, right? To not feel like you're a victim of the universe. Like, what does God have against me? So what do you, like, with the people that you work with and your clients, when they are going through those things, financial, you know, disruptions, health issues, loss of a loved one, what do you do to help them during those times? Because it can be quite isolating as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I personally believe that most people's spiritual search or journey starts with some kind of crisis, like mine did. Mine started with a health crisis. And so some people have to go through like a financial crisis or a relationship crisis or a death or something like that in order to seek something else. They're like, you know what? All this stuff that I've done isn't really working. I need to try something else, right? Like if we're in comfort, typically as humans, we don't usually try something different, right?
Correct.
So when you're in this period of crisis, what happens often is it's your higher self asking you, like kind of slapping you a bit to wake up, right? There's these things that I call like the feather, the brick, the truck, right? So if you're going to learn something, the first little lesson is going to be a little feather. And then if you ignore it and don't sort of deal with your inner stuff, it'll be a brick the next time, and eventually it will become a truck. And so the thing that creates that crisis, like what is it that creates that crisis? And it's something that I call distortion patterns. Now, distortion patterns happen at the level of the field. So I'm just going to back up to give some context for what I'm talking about. So to me, everything's vibrating. Now, this is not like a news flash. I mean, the scientists have been talking about this like for decades, right? So the rate of vibration is what dictates the form of the thing, right? So let's just take something really physical like water. When the molecules vibrate really fast, it's steam. When it slows down, it becomes liquid water. When the molecular vibration slows down even more, it becomes ice or solid or form. Yeah? So if you take that idea and you extrapolate that all the way out to consciousness or the divine or the oneness, that is vibrating at an extraordinarily high rate that we cannot yet measure with our little human tools. So what happens is, in order for the oneness to be something other than just like one, there needs to be a drop in resonance, a drop in vibration. When that happens, frequencies exist. Okay, and when that vibrational level slows down, it becomes energy. And when that vibrational level slows down even more, it becomes what we call form or thought or emotion. So distortion patterns happen at the level of frequency first. Everyone believes, or not everyone, I shouldn't say, a lot of people believe that, you have to do all these things in the physical world and then you will change the things on spirit level. But it's not, it's the opposite. The higher level order of vibration always dictates form. So if you don't change things at the quantum level or the frequency level first, your physical life won't change. You'll just run around like hitting the same thing over again, right? So it doesn't matter if it's the same kind of relationships, the same kind of, financial scarcity, the same kind of like health stuff, whatever, we spin around, and that's when you're hitting distortion. Because it doesn't matter how much coaching you throw at it, it doesn't matter how much therapy, how much vision boarding, how much whatever the heck you're doing, self-help books, you keep like running up against this wall, this kind of pattern that happens maybe in various flavors, but still there, right? So the thing is, when you start to clear your distortion patterns, and I'm getting to my answer to your question, I promise, when you start to do that, and you start to do a process that I call confirming the removal, which is to be aware of the pattern and to like push it out of your field, and I have a very clear 5-step process how to do that, because you are the co-creator of your reality. What happens is extraordinary. The physical can shift around you so fast, it'll make your head spin. And just as a little example, I have a client who, she always kind of dated the same kind of guy. And they were either emotionally absent or emotionally abusive. Okay. And so they just like weren't present for her. And she would always bend over backwards for them. She would end up like writing their holiday cards to their mothers, like planning their vacations, taking their dogs for a walk, whatever, like the whole thing. And despite all of her efforts, she'd always end up with a guy who didn't appreciate it. So anyway, after her latest breakup, let's call it that, she's like, okay, that's it. Like, I have to change something because I'm doing all the therapy and the whatnot, and it's not changing. I mean, it's helping. Please no, I'm not suggesting that therapy is not a good thing. It is. But for her, she was getting stuck. And she's like, okay, I need to clean something up in me, in the sense of not that you're dirty, but like there's something in me that's causing this kind of pattern to happen. I need to clear whatever it is. So she started doing frequency work because a friend of hers shared one of my GFCs with her, my group frequency calibration meditations. And she's like, for some reason, she's like, this is it. I need to do this. And she listened to my group frequency calibrations. I have one after every podcast of episode. And then she was like, okay, I'm going to do a little bit more. And she started to have individual sessions with me and started to come on retreats. Within 8 months, she's like, okay, I'm ready to start dating again. Just to see how I am with it. Like, I don't care what happens. I'm just going to see how I am with it. So her friends are like, okay, we're going to put you on, the girlfriends come in and they put her on whatever the apps are. And she has 2 dates, 24 hours apart. First date, she goes to it and she's like, it's so funny, Karen, like this guy would have been exactly the kind of guy that I was attracted to before. Exactly. And I could see myself sort of being like, oh, maybe I'm attracted to him. But then I realized, wait a minute, I had enough distance to see, I don't want to repeat this. Like, this is like repeat here. I don't want to deal with this kind of story again. And she's like, maybe we'll be friends, maybe we won't, but I'm not going to go down that road. Second date, this guy not attracted to in the past before, meaning like the her of before wouldn't have been attracted to this type of guy. That's what I mean. And ends up that she's like, even physically, she's like, I don't even know. Like, this is not kind of my usual person that I'm attracted to. But they end up talking for 2 hours because she was just like, I'm just going to be present and see what happens. Like, I don't care. Let's just see what happens.
Not tied to the outcome.
Not tied to the outcome. She surrendered. She was like, I'm just like here with this dude. right? We're just going to see what happens. Do I enjoy him? Do I not? Can I be present with him? Can I laugh? Is he funny? Am I funny? Are we better together? You know, all that sort of stuff is happening. That quickly becomes dinner, and then becomes a camping trip, and then it becomes, you know, a trip to Europe. Year later, they're engaged. Okay. So here's the thing in our weird hetero culture. We think like the marriage is like the thing, you know, like angels sing like, oh, you know, like if you get the marriage, then it's like amazing.
Yes.
But the thing isn't about the marriage. That's not the victory. The victory is in her, because she said to me, Karen, I finally know in my heart that he loves me and that he wants to make me happy and that I'm worthy of it and I can receive it.
Ooh.
Okay.
There
We
you
went
go.
from, right?
Yeah.
Woman who couldn't like really receive anything, killing herself because she didn't feel worthy, to this. That's huge. That's the victory. It's not about the marriage. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone will think it's about that. It's not. It's about how she felt about her and how she could be in love. Not with, you know what I mean? Just in love, not necessarily with him, but just in love, period. You know what I mean? That changed everything.
Well, and because also when you on a subconscious and conscious level believe that you are worthy of, that's when things change. And because of the frequency and the energy, that dude just like zeroed in on her because of that energy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
The universe conspired for that.
Exactly. And you know what it is? It's because she felt at ease with herself. I know this is weird for women sometimes to understand, because we always are taught that we're not enough and we have to project some weird image of perfection. Like we have to be the perfect mother. We have to be the perfect partner. We have to be the perfect person at work. We have to be the perfect, I don't know, whatever body, you know, all that stuff. She was just like, excuse me, like, screw it. You know, she was like, I'm just going to be me, because I can't pretend to be something that I'm not. And she was at ease with herself. And he was like, whoa, what's this? What is this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not used to this. And she was happy. So, but genuinely, not a projection of happy, because her frequency resonance was higher. Do you know what I mean? Like, it all has to do with your frequency resonance, right? So she did the inner work to raise her frequency resonance, and it's who she is. It's just her like essence now. And she's amazing.
I think too, and when you've come to that point where you're able to love yourself, warts and all, and like you said, like she didn't give up. But it was being vulnerable to the universe, but also just allowing. Like it's that free fall, you know. It's like that you know, jumping off the cliff and just going, I'm going to land where I'm going to land. But it really is also loving yourself, because you know, so many people are running around with self-loathing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And they don't truly love themselves. So they're always going to seek someone else. Well, you know, I'm going to find someone who's going to love me because I don't love myself. Well, then you're going to attract more of that energy of somebody that is not going to love you, because you're not resonating at that love. Right? Exactly.
That's exactly right. And the thing is, you know, the thing about frequencies is you can't think your way to it. It's not like because, you know, like she didn't feel worthy, right? So it wasn't like she was like, okay, I'm going to think that I'm worthy of love. You know, it wasn't, she had to release the distortion behind it, all the lineage patterns, the past life stuff, like all, you know, the religious conditioning, the cultural conditioning, all that. She had to let it go, because you can want something, but then it's not enough, right? You have to release the patterns so you can get to that resonance like you were talking about, where it's like, you know, there's a big leap between like self-loathing and self-love. And she was just like, can I just get to, I'm comfortable with myself, right? Like, can I just get there? You know, really be at ease with all my warts. Like, I got them, you know, I got to watch out for them. I'm not proud of them particularly, but there they are, right? So she had to get there, and you can't think your way there. I mean, I tried to. I mean, I was like a personal development junkie, right? So you can't just think your way there. You have to really release the distortion to be in that resonance of it. And the thing is, you know, the thing about frequency work that's so awesome and about frequency rising is it's infinite. Like, everyone thinks that like spiritual awakening, you get there and it's like done. You know, check, finished, we're done. But the thing is, it's the beginning, right? It's infinite. So like, how glorious can your life be really depends on how high your frequency you want to get to and embody in the unique expression that's you. And, you know, as you said before, I can't remember when, it's not about negating your humanness. You are human. You know, you're supposed to be imperfect. You're supposed to be messy. You're supposed to be like, fuck, there's no toilet paper in the freaking toilet. Like, you know, it's like, and then we have the choice to laugh at that and be like, all right, well, all right, so all right, I'm gonna get the toilet paper.
Yes. It's it's a glorious ride. It is
Yeah.
with all of the crazy, and I equate it to like a video game as well. You know,
Yeah.
at a certain point, it's being able to remind ourselves that, it's a wild, wonderful game, and how well we play is really up to us. And
Absolutely.
and I just love the opportunity that we have each and every day with all kinds of stuff that happens, how we react,
Absolutely.
right, to things.
Yeah.
I love this. So you were talking a bit about the meditation that you end your podcast episodes with,
Mhm.
the beautiful thing that you do there. Now you also have something for our listeners and for our viewers that are watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
You have a bit of a
Yeah.
gift to help them as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah, totally. So here's the thing. Your mind is going to kick your ass, right? I don't know if you noticed this.
Yes.
Like, it just tells you stupid stuff all the time. It's not very delightful. I'm not saying it doesn't have great things to say to you. I'm not saying it doesn't motivate you in some way. And I'm not saying you shouldn't think. I'm not demonizing the mind. But oftentimes, especially when we're starting, your mind is not a super helpful tool. And there's like 5 million thoughts going up in your head. So for your audience, in the description and the link below, I think is where you're going to put it. I'm not sure.
Yes,
But
it'll be in
I'm
the notes.
offering. It'll be in the notes. Perfect. Thank you. I'm offering a free quieting your mind meditation. So if you just click on that link, it'll help you start to slow down. Because the thing is, I know this is probably a little bit out there for some of you, and I know it sounds like, again, like package woo. However, the more you can be in what I call the center of your 0 point, which is really in the present moment of linear time, really aware of your body, the more like grounded, more calm, more focused, more clear, better able to be in the world, period. So that group frequency calibration is there to help you. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. And some people it's changed their lives. They literally play that thing in the background at work, or when they get up in the morning, they're just like, put that sucker on. Because it just, or in the, you know what I mean? It just helps them okay, right.
Yeah.
It's not as freaking nuts as it seems to be. And when you come back into your center, what happens as your frequency resonance rises and as you gain strength in your center, the external world, whilst you're aware of it, because it's not about negating the external world, it just doesn't touch you in the same way. So if everyone else is freaking out about something, because someone always is, you're like, okay, I can witness your freak out. Like, I'm with you, partner, that's freaking out, having meltdown right now, or child, or whatever. But I don't have to take it into me. And the thing is, Christine, when we are in that space of that centered, grounded, neutral, I'm with you, I'm witnessing, but I'm not taking it into me, it gives them such a tremendous gift, because then they can just be what they are in that moment and then move through it. It's the most beautiful thing.
It's not contagious, and everybody's losing their minds. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not everyone's spiraling together. Awesome.
And then also you have the ability to go, okay, you know what? I have an answer to the problem, right?
Yeah.
Or how about if we do this? This isn't working, so how about if we do this? I love this.
Exactly.
This is a great gift. This is a great gift.
Thank you.
So we'll make sure that we have the link to that. It's how to quiet your mind and how to be centered. And I think this is so important right now.
Yeah.
We'll have that meditation, that link to that free meditation from my guest, Karen Chong. We'll have that in the show notes so people can go check it out. Karen, it's just been absolutely wonderful having you on, and you're welcome back anytime, because we could talk about of our cool unicorn woo stuff.
Happy to.
Forever
That's my
and
playground.
Ever. And please just let me know when you've got stuff going on. We'd love to have you back on the show anytime.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will totally accept your invitation.
Okay, good. And we'll make sure we'll have a link to Karen's show, her podcast, that you can catch on all of the major podcast platforms, and her website. So many ways that you can reach out to Karen if you've enjoyed this program. And if you have enjoyed this program, make sure that you share it with others. You can share it easily on your social media or an email. Please do, especially if it's something that's touched you and you think it can help somebody that you love. All right. If you want to find out more information about the work that I do, you can go to my website, ChristineBlosdale.com. That will be in the show notes as well. And as I always say at the end of these shows, remember to think outside that damn box. It will help you in many ways. All right, loves. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.